This is a first, at least a first in a while. I think I might be live. I don't know. We'll find out. Welcome to Family Tabletop. Oh yeah, look, there's a chat stream over there. All right, it says I'm live. I'm just going to assume that I am, and if I am live, then that means I'll be making this video once, and you're watching me make this video as I make it. And if this video shows up on the channel and it's not this one, then I had to make it twice. So, a few days ago, I asked the YouTube community that follows this channel to give me a list of their best, like their number one tip that they would leave for themselves in the past, or that they would give to a new player, a new dungeon master. And this is a video going through the comments of that video. It's a little meta, but I'm going to go through the comments, and I'm just going to read these things off, and maybe every so often I'll actually have something to say about it. But I mean, you know, a lot of the people here actually said really, really smart stuff, and I don't think I really need to add that much to it. So I'm going to get right to it, okay? Let me switch over to the other scene. There we go. You should be able to see on the screen the comments that are here. So I'm going to start right at the top and just go down the list. Again, I'll try and keep my comments to a minimum. We'll see how that works. So GM Grudge Monster says, if it's risky, roll for it. If not, let the player describe and enjoy the story as it happens. Honestly, learning as you play serves as the best teacher. It's a good tip. I like that. And that's a lesson I am just learning now. Playing in Shadowdark, man, I really thought I was going to be able to get through these things without commenting too much. But anyways, I thought I was playing in Shadowdark now. I have just started to get used to the let my players just say they're doing something. We actually had a couple, like our last two sessions, I think maybe we rolled the dice a couple times because players say, hey, I want to try and do this thing, and it's not that ridiculous. So asking them to make a dexterity check or something just gets in the way. Paul Hepworth with a number, he has two tips. You're not crafting a story, you're presenting a scenario. The story is what grows organically from players' choices in the scenario. And number two, if players have an interesting idea, the default response should be yes. Go with it and help make interesting ideas happen. It's way more fun for everyone at the table. It's a longer comment, so I'm not going to read all the stuff. On the longer ones, I'm going to try and skim through them because I want this to be kind of fast. But yeah, those are both helpful because I had players ask me questions and I'm like, no, you can't do that. And that's a real bummer for people at the table who want to do a thing. So great tips. And as well, you're not running your own story. You're allowing the players to create a story with you. Let's see. Dithrandir. I'm going to go with Dithrandir. You're not playing against your players, you're playing with your players. Realizing this would have prevented me from feeling upset and tricked by my players. That's really funny. Like when they thought of a clever solution to bypass one of his big bad evil guys. That's also really good because I have felt that. I've had that moment where I'm like, oh, phooey, they got my monster. All right. TSL Frontman. Starting small is better than starting epically. Make a self-contained one-shot with borrowed gimmicks and challenges that you already know work. For example, a five-room dungeon archetype works great for beginners. And that's also a good idea. I think that's why some of the D&D modules start with, like, you know, a goblin cave or something and allow you to kind of expand outward from there. And that's also helpful for me because I tend to go, you know, world stakes. So that's helpful. That's a helpful tip. Limperium. The text of an adventure is not holy scripture or law. It's also helpful. They say, I ran the first starter set adventure from the Lost Mine of Phandelver as my first DM adventure. My big mistake was that I thought I have to go like step by step through all the written module and follow the plot very strictly. That led me to a kind of railroady way of running the game. And I think that's a really good point because I started doing that in the Waterdeep Dragon Heist, until I got to the point where there was a section of the adventure that said that if the players get the MacGuffin, I have to take it back from them. And I was like, wait, what? You know, and I started going off the rails there. But yeah, they make a good point of saying, don't be too faithful to the modules. Again, what they learn has two parts. When running a published adventure, when running published adventures, use it mostly as inspiration or as pre-prep. And then don't stick too strongly to, don't stick to enforce a specific story plot. That helps to build out that idea. Kumi the Bear. There we go. Your players probably understand half of what you're describing. It's a Sly Flourish tip that woke this person up. Work with your players to accomplish their intent, as it is okay to be repetitive and not subtle for the sake of clear communication. So you might have to repeat things a few times for your players to pick them up. Instead of just saying it once and assuming they understand it, don't lean too far into subtlety. I mean to be hitting the thumbs up on all these as I pass them, and I'm forgetting to do that. All right. Generally, I do that. For some reason, it says that I haven't done that, so I don't know what to make of that. Don't overplan. No plan survives first contact with the enemy. Also helpful. I have had that moment where I'm like, I'm going to do this thing, and then my players will... Oh, if anyone who's followed the channel knows, I sent a spider in expecting a fight, and then there was no fight. Hopefully I'm not too loud. I saw my levels peaking over there for a second. I'll try not to yell. Oh, sorry, that was from Squids Vicious. Squids Vicious. I am starting to get familiar with some of your icons on here, and I'm like, oh, I think I remember that person's game system on occasion. All right, let's see. Creme Sonic Coles says, continue reading and never stop. This is a long tip, and they go into some level of details, and I found it very helpful because this is also a lesson that I have had to learn. And I really liked that they expanded out what they initially said. Just keep reading, like read new stuff, read new books, find books you're interested in. And I find that very helpful because, I sometimes fail to read. Let's see, keep going. Yeah, they actually told me a lot about the stuff that they're reading, and I found that very interesting. All right, here is from Rye Bromide. If you think it, write it down, because it can always be useful later in some kind of fuel. And I think that's also very helpful. There's times where I get an idea about an adventure and then I just let it go and it's gone. So, Sean Ferguson Thorny, I think I'm reading that right, says, don't let the rules bind you. Storytelling and role-playing is, to me, about studying the manual and finding ways to break it without being too disruptive and confusing for the players. And a second tip, you don't need to control the narrative. Draw upon the creativity of your players and try to run with their ideas. Yeah, that's really helpful. And a lot of people in the comments have actually been making recommendations to a few different books that allow you to do that more easily. I have lists of some of those books, and I will make a video about that eventually, where some of those books are essentially ways to help you DM better. Yeah. So, and DM by allowing your players to take like the reins a lot more. I don't know any of those tips, so I can't really give any of them, but thanks Sean. Alan Nielsen. I would have purchased Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master by Sly first. So this is what they would have done differently. They would have purchased the Lazy Dungeon Master. This is actually one of the books I was thinking of, but I need to write down on my list. It would have cut down on my prep time by half and increased my organization at the table. That's very helpful. Let's see. Oh, so someone else added to Alan's response here. If I think the Lazy Dungeon book is missing something, oh, okay. So they're adding in that the Lazy Dungeon Master book is actually a lot more helpful than the Dungeon Master's Guide, which I found interesting, and I'm probably gonna have to get that book. So, all right, Red Silva. The most important session in the campaign is the next one. You only have to think about the session you're planning. Yeah, I'm starting to laugh already because I'm like, yeah, I do this. I start planning 5 sessions ahead. Anyways, the most important session in the campaign is the next one. You only need to think about the session you're planning to DM next. Only prepare things and places that the characters might encounter in the next session. So this is a great tip because I tend to go, but what if they go to this hex or this hex or, and that's not helpful because, then the players like blow that place up or something. So, oh, that was from, I already read that, Red Silva. Ginerax. When I started to DM, I had some players that would trample over other players. Oh, this is a really good tip. I read this one. This one's really helpful. I've read all these, by the way, but I'm rereading them now. So, Ginerax says, when I started to DM, oh, I see there's, okay, so there's people actually in the chat right now, and I actually didn't really expect this. I was just trying to go through this in a live way. All of my videos, I'm doing everything I can to avoid editing. I'm looking over there because that's my editing computer. I'm very compulsive when it comes to editing, so I generally now just try and edit right on my phone and send the video straight to YouTube because I can spend like 5 or 6 hours editing, and this seemed like a good way to get this done without editing. So thank you. Let me see. Oh, okay. All right, so I will get to, apparently there's more tips coming into the chat right now. So let me go back to Generax, okay? When I started to DM, I had some players that would trample over my other players. I didn't react quickly enough in the moment, and it led to some problems. It takes a good DM to know when to pump the brakes and make sure your more passive players aren't getting steamrolled over by the more confident ones. Okay, this is a problem we had at our table for a while. All right, so this is a great tip. This is very helpful. My son, so sad. My son happens to be that character who goes, he stands up when people are trying to plan their turns and he goes, you should go there. You need to go there and use this move to do this thing right now. And I have to like, okay, sit down, because what he'll start doing is saying, okay, Lex, you go heal, Mom, you go over here and cast, Cautious Hideous Laughter. And he starts running the whole table. And, it's just a bummer. It's a bummer for all the players. So this is an excellent tip. Okay, so the too long dude did not read. I wish someone had told me how vital it is that you don't let one of your players' fantasies trample over anyone else's fun. Sometimes you just need to use the role of authority, gently, to act as a shield for the more timid players. Even if it just means hitting pause to make sure your less confident players have an opportunity to process what's happening. Very helpful tip, and I'd put there's no order to the list, but I'd put that almost at the top, just given that was something our table struggled with for a long time. All right, Maledro, I don't know how to say this. Maledro Thief. I'm close. I'm gonna leave it there. Establish GM goals and player goals and read them out before each session. I liked this one. I asked them actually to explain a little bit more about how that works, because to me it sounded kind of like the stars and wishes idea. Oh, test. Hi, I'm a fan. Glad to see you. Oh, okay. Okay, I will start reading the comments in just a moment. I kind of want to get through these, but no, that's fine. I'll read the comments. Okay, so first off, my autobiography, a fanfic. Okay. That it's not storytelling. One is a big one. Too many. Okay. So you're commenting on the fact that it's not our story. That's helpful. I'm looking over here because this is where my chat monitor is. Sorry. Hey, I'm a big fan. Glad to see a brother in Christ that enjoys wholesome activities. James 1:17, they're sharing a scripture with me. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father. God bless. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And the name is Test. All right, let me get back to the list. Okay, so GM goals and sessions. I did want a little bit more details from this person because it sounded like the stars and wishes ideal. And I kind of want to, how does it work in practice, if that makes sense? So I like this idea. I just don't know exactly what that means. Does that mean we make a list of expectations and read them out on a note card? Either way, I think that's probably helpful. I just don't know what the metric of it looks like. All right, let's see. Pencil Mage. Stay consistent and keep writing. Everyone has writer's block, and the same holds true with storytelling. I've seen many campaigns break down when the GM hits a few hurdles. I'm laughing because this has happened to me. If you stay consistent with your story, with the story you're telling, you'll get over that hump. That being said, if you've gone several weeks or several months with that feeling, sometimes it's best to let go. So this is very helpful. I've had that where I just hit a block. And I think what's helpful is the tip that I actually already read a little bit further up here. The person who said, don't stop reading. Sometimes when I get that, I don't know what to do next with the story or where to go, I'll go back to an audiobook I'm listening to, and I have a few that I'll have on cycle, and sometimes that'll spark the creative juices and, like a woods between worlds, something like that, or whatever. So very helpful. If you get writer's block, don't get discouraged. All right. Wickedly One. Suspense is more important than your story or their story. Suspense is the story that your players didn't know they wanted, and when asked, always say that they don't want. This one's confusing, but I'm following. Okay, I'm tracking with it. But the trick is, you can't force it upon them. It has to come naturally, and the only way to do that is to keep playing. Okay, so I like this tip a lot because it's talking about the idea of like mystery, and I think that's correct. I think the mystery is kind of what keeps the players going into the dungeon and going like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? So fleshing out and doing world building and having creative stories is probably the thing that's going to keep this going. But yeah, keep in mind, suspense and mystery. Let me see. Let's keep going. I keep forgetting to hit the thumbs up. Oh, that's me. I don't need a thumbs up me. There we go. Okay. Okay. This is OEM with a number. Less rules are more. Okay. Yes, I agree. Playing 5th edition for a long time, you know, I just, there was so many moments where I'm bringing to the table some ruling. I say, this thing will work. And my players throw back at me, no, that thing doesn't work because we know the rules. And, you know, it's like once we started playing in a rules-light system where the spells are a little bit loosey-goosey, where the rolls are a little bit loosey-goosey, like when we start having like fewer things crunching down on how something works exactly, we have a lot more fun. We have a lot more fun. I'm like, you don't need to roll a save for that, or you don't need to do a thing with that. You can just do it. And we have a lot more fun, and the players have more fun, and it's less rules are more. It was such a short comment, and I talked way too long. Sorry. All right. Don't know the AC/DC, just wing it. I like this. I typically go into a combat with like a general idea of what my players can hit at and what my players could get hit by. And so with that in mind, I go, okay, this monster has a +2 to hit in case I can't remember. And this monster has like an 11 AC, and that seems to work fine. You're an avid reader. Let's see, are you familiar with Appendix N? Rules Light is a lot of fun. I don't know what Appendix N is. I'm gonna have to save this. Maybe I'll take a picture of this towards the end. I don't know what Appendix N is. If that's like some sort of book or compendium, let me know where I can find it. All right, let's see. Don't know the AC wing. Okay, I just got that. Okay, all right. More metal and more comedy. That's a comment to a comment. Okay, let's get back onto here. Lionel Gender. I'm saying that wrong, but I'm going to go with it. Sometimes you got to sacrifice verisimilitude to not drag things to a halt. New systems and mini games you come up with should, man, I meant to actually look up verisimilitude. I don't know what that word means. Let me see. Look up. I don't want to search it for the, read aloud from here. Translation in English. All right, I'm going to get on my phone. Let's see what verisimilitude means. Now I know everything's paused to a halt and I'm terrified because I'm live at the moment. Anyway, so you got to sacrifice verisimilitude, not drag things to a halt like I'm doing right now. New systems and mini games you come up with should not be in first plane and take significant time. Okay, so I'm getting the idea is something about, I don't know. Let me look up for verisimilitude. V-E-R, V-E-R-I-S-I-M. There we go. I picked it up. All right, verisimilitude, the appearance of being true or real. Oh, okay, that's great. Okay, so don't get hung up on reality, something like that. Okay. Sorry for the pause. If you have no idea, and that was, I already read who that was from. This is from Inget. Nah. There we go. I'm close enough. If you have no idea how a rule works, or you don't want to stop everything to look it up, just let your players roll a d20 and add whatever modifiers and say, yeah, it works, and here's why. Okay, so a similar thing, like don't get hung up on stuff and cut the whole game to a halt, like I just did right now looking for verisimilitude. Kind of try and keep things going. And I think that's really good. That's really good help because the moment you kind of go, I don't know how this works, it sort of tells your players that you don't know how this works, and that's counterintuitive towards creating the world building. All right, Justin Blocker, manage adventures, not master dungeons. Okay. That would have helped me so much at the start instead of focusing on the Dungeons and Dragons inside modules that they wasted like 2 or 3 years on. So I guess focus your attention on the adventures, not specific dungeons. All right, and these are a bunch of comments to that comment and some responses. I'm going to keep going. All right, B. Lynn. I fly by the seat of my pants, but one thing I can tell you is if you're tired, let everyone know before. This is helpful. Let everyone know before they leave home. So before they get to your house, let them all know you're tired, and maybe instead they want to like watch a movie or play a board game. instead, because 2 times they've tried to run D&D while exhausted and it was terrible. That's very helpful. I've had that. I don't know if I've had it so much that I was like tired and I ruined the game. No, I have. I have. Where I just shut people down way too much. That's probably when I'm most tired. When I'm most awake, I'm like, yeah, let's see how that works out, or let's work with that thing. And when I'm tired, it's like, no, you can't do that. I tried to do, okay, so this is Love Pro Wrestling said that they tried to do it while hung salty Wizards of the Coast, you know, and it's, I probably bring that on. I'm a little salty towards Wizards of the Coast. Hey, Mage's Musings, how's it going? Guess how many subs and commenters you have. Okay, so interesting, my comment section indicates how many, you know, I'm using Stream Elements, and that might be why. I see the comments. I didn't expect to actually get anyone coming here while I was live. I was just trying to make this video simple by not editing it on my computer. All right, sorry. So, okay, Palenda, short version. Okay, so don't DM a Wizards of the Coast big adventure as one of your first campaigns. Especially don't run Curse of Strahd as your second campaign. Run shorter campaigns, try different systems. I really agree with this. I started with Icespire Peak and it went off the rails immediately, and then we were no longer playing Icespire Peak anymore. I started the Dragon Waterdeep Heist, and that one was so bad. It was so badly written that I couldn't play it as it was written. It was just so much coincidence and let's see. Oh, smash that. Thank you so much. Yeah. If you stream, they will come. Yeah, I didn't expect anyone to, again, like I explained it before, so I'll just explain it quickly. I generally try not to edit because I'm very compulsive about editing. I can spend like 5 or 6 hours just making a video perfect. And, you know, it's like I'm trying to learn systems and be a dad and take care of my kids and stuff. And it's just like, I don't have editing time, and I'm not good at just editing, sort of. So I'll probably do this for these videos in the future. Hopefully this is still useful to people. I'm going to stop rambling. Sorry. Okay, so this person is saying they DM'd a bunch of the big campaigns and it went terrible. I had the same experience. I would probably recommend starting out with Ben Milton's The Waking of Willoughby Hall. So if you haven't looked up Ben Milton's work, The Waking of Willoughby Hall, like if I were to start a brand new adventure right now, I would just start The Waking of Willoughby Hall. And he has a few other really good like short modules that I think are linked to his Knave book. Okay, so he has a couple more extra things. Okay, basically he has a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so these are all points, things he needed to do when he was going through Castle Ravenloft, and I experienced the exact same thing when I was going through the Wizard Dungeon Heist or whatever. Like, I ended up having to cut whole characters out and add things to the game, and at some point I was like, I'm not even in this Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign anymore. I'm running my own thing with their characters, and it was really weird and awkward because I was still using the stupid campaign. So I totally agree with this. All right, keep going down here. Okay, all right, Love Pro Wrestling. Pay attention to what you're giving your players. This is good. Allowing too many buffs to gather in the party makes your job, I'm laughing because I've done this, it makes your job even harder down the line. Example, my character purchased a strength boosting item. Now everyone is purchasing the strength boosting item. Now my party's unstoppable. It's hilarious because it's true, and I'm so stupid. I keep doing it. I'm even doing it in Shadowdark. So next week, we're not having a game this Saturday. Next week, I have to go to my players and tell them, okay, so I gave you guys a bunch of oddities. I need to take them all back, and I'm going to give you a few specific ones because I give them too many things. Oh yeah, Waking Willoughby Hall is excellent. I have not run it through yet, but just the look to it is fantastic. Like the simplicity. I'm excited to try and run it for kids at some point and just see what they do. Yeah, no, magic items, like I make this mistake all the time. Don't do it. Don't give your players magic items. And the thing is, if you give your players a 10-foot pole, they'll find a way to make it interesting. In our last campaign, my son's friend took a 10-foot pole and shoved it down a mimic's throat and like started running with it and gagged him. And I'm like, yeah, he throws up. He's vomiting stuff up. And they do really, really fun and interesting things with the most basic of items. I think making relics single-use items is probably a good idea. All right, okay, so now There's far more people in the chat than I thought there would be, but I'm going to keep reading. Okay. Satori, did I read all that? Yeah, okay, I got pro wrestling's. Okay. Satori with a number. When I confessed to running, okay, so this one, I remember this one. I actually had some questions about it. I don't know if I got a response. Let me see. When I confessed to running Goblins versus Dark, my best friend joked, lean into metal, lean into Brit comedy and plots. So I didn't understand this comment initially because there seemed to be an inside joke to it. So I asked some further questions. Let me see if the further questions are here. There we go. Okay, so I think the tip, if I'm understanding this, is when you're running a specific setting, try and lean into the setting. That's the thing I get from it. So like if you're running Call of Cthulhu, don't run Call of Cthulhu like into the Tales from the Loop. Don't make it like a mystery. Make it a dark cult fantasy thing. You know, it's just that's what I'm getting from this thing. So lean into the setting you're running. Darth Lang, not system specific. Okay, so this is not system specific. The player's goals and stories are more important than what you as the dungeon master have prepared. Yes, you should have a general direction laid out, but if the players want to do something completely unexpected, they are the ones ultimately playing the story. I agree with this, and I have done the opposite of this several times to the point where I could tell my players were frustrating because like in our very first setting at the Waterdeep Dragon Heist, one of my players wanted to like zip line down a chandelier. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, no, because in my mind, it went the other direction. And so I said no, and like a cool moment was missed out on. Test, okay. Every time I see you, I think I'm reading test, just so you know. And I'm like, oh, I better read that. I'll go back to these in just a minute. Okay. All right. Steve Swan. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. Got Darth Lang. Okay. Steve Swan Jr. says, relax and start GMing. This is true, man. Like there are times where I'm like about ready to sit down and I get so nervous and I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? My players are going to come up with something and I'm not going to know what to do. Like right now, I'm live streaming and I was very nervous. Like I'm going to go live right now and I'm going to mess it all up. And I already know I'm messing it all up. You know, and that's the thing is like once you kind of DM the very first time, you'll have that moment where your players say they want to do a thing and you don't really know what the response should be. But when you go with it a little bit and you just start, you know, DMing, you know, it starts flowing from there. And then one player picks up on the thing that the other player was doing. So great tip. I have failed to not comment on every one of these. I'm sorry. Okay, so One Heart says, record your audio. And I've asked them a little bit more about what they mean about this and how it works exactly. And the idea that I've gotten is that they record their sessions and listen to those sessions afterwards because there's a lot of details and things that their players are talking about that they like weren't paying attention to at the time. All right, let's see. Yeah, I have trouble. I love the oddities list so much. Test is right in here that the oddities are a lot of fun. And yeah, but I end up giving my players so many things that they don't know what to do. And that's why I got to take back the like 10 things I gave them last session. Anyway, so One Heart was saying, record your sessions. I don't know if that's a step that I would take. To me, that like, okay, I have a certain amount of time in the week I can do Dungeons and Dragons or, you know, whatever. I can do tabletop RPG focused stuff because like I'm also trying to like learn systems that my son is more interested in, like some skirmish games. And I'm also trying to learn a bunch of different TTRPGs because maybe I can find one that I can teach my younger son or to kids that, you know, don't pick up on rules well. So, you know, that is something, if you have time as a dungeon master, that's probably going to be something that's very helpful for you. I just don't know if I have time as a dungeon master to do that. All right. Old Guy says that some players think that you can win D&D. All right. And yeah, and I responded there describing my son. My son goes into Dungeons and Dragons as though he is going to be the winner of the game. And it's like, I'm like, you know, I think of that meme with Gandalf, and he's like, I'm not trying to hurt you, I'm trying to help you. And it's like the dog with the ball in his mouth, and it's like, come on, kid, like you're working against everyone at the table here. All right. Orc Cole says, plan less, play more. That's a good one. That's a good one. Don't fuss about the rules, systems. Don't fuss about the rules, systems, or overbuilding the world. I tend to do all three of those things. Learn the core of the game and just go from there. Life short, play more games. That's excellent. That's a wonderful tip, and I am trying to learn that one. And one of the things that I think is helping is kind of finding that that guy Sly Flourish. I don't remember his real name, but his channel has actually been pretty helpful on giving like some general ideas about things. Also, the Baron, the DM Masterclass. I think that's his channel. I watched one of his about hex building. It was very helpful. All right, spellcasting don't work like that. I asked them what they mean, and they did not reply. So spellcasting don't work like that. Hey, you know what? I think I found the bottom of the list. I have a suspicion this was not 40 tips. My title for this video may be a lie. It was quite a few though, and these were all actually really helpful for me to read, because as I was reading them, there was a whole bunch in there that I was like, I'm trying to incorporate that right now. Like, I'm actually trying to learn this thing. I'm trying to learn like just how to just start, just go, not to stress out, not to be like too compulsive about the rules, to keep reading stuff, all of that. So these were all very helpful for me. Let me pay a little more attention to the chat now. I've got like a light in my eye over here. All right, so I appreciate you saying like and subscribe. Thanks so much for that. So this is my first time streaming on this channel. I want to say ever, but that might not be true. I think I streamed on Twitch before. I've never actually streamed on, this is actually my first time streaming on YouTube, actually. This YouTube channel used to be a video game related channel, and that's how it started. And now that I don't want to say I hate video games, but I really try not to ever play them. I think Slay the Spire is my only exception. Okay, we got more replies coming in here. All right, so let me go back and get all the things I missed. Willoughby Hall is excellent. Okay, you practice live and video editing. Okay, sweet. Okay, all right, yeah. So again, this is my way of just never editing, because I'm pointing here. Let me go to my other screen real quick. There's the camera. Okay, so that computer over there. You know, I mean, I used to be a trailer editor, and so I could just edit a trailer forever. I mean, like 90 hours or so I spent on like a Last of Us 2 trailer. If you want to like find my trailers, you can just look up like Gone in 60 Seconds. I think the very first option on YouTube for a Gone in 60 Seconds trailer is my trailer. But I spend so much time, and I get compulsive with audio and sound, and then after I finish it, I hate it because, you know, it's compulsivity or something. No, thank you so much. All right, let me go back to the comments here. I'm obviously not good at this because I'm having a difficult time paying attention to the comments as I'm also streaming. Okay, so we got some more suggestions in here. Okay, relics. Okay. And you know what? About the magical items, I agree. I think making them rare is super helpful. You know, okay, one of the things someone mentioned in a comment about Shadow Dark, I made that video about limited inventory. And someone, they did a great job of summarizing this, because I showed the comment to my son, because my son and his mom were the people complaining like, Shadow Dark's inventory is too limited. And the person made a comment saying, in Shadow Dark, your inventory is like your feats and your feats and your skills, or your powers essentially. And I was like, oh, there we go. Yeah, boom, like head explode. And I showed that to my son, and I was like, that's why you can't have more inventory. And he went, okay, I get it. You know, and I was like, oh, it was so simple. So, and regarding the magical items and stuff, yeah, I think it's really helpful to limit those things. And while I have the desire to be like, here, +2, plus AC, all that stuff, what I end up doing is making the game far more difficult. So that comment was very helpful. Let's see, I'm still like 10 comments behind, and people are going now. So there's a reason Rust Monsters, I might just have to skip down towards the end. So, okay, there'll be blood. All right, that's pretty smart. Mage. Okay, your Mage's Musings. Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay, didn't see reply incoming. Best advice I ever got was just to let go. Let the system do its job. Don't be married. Okay, so don't be married to your preconceived story. Oh, that's one that I struggle with, and I'm trying to do a little better with that, where I go, okay, I know this character, and I know this character, and I know this character, like my NPCs. And I know somewhat what they're doing, but so my players, okay, in the current campaign that we're in, this video is totally off the rails now because I'm no longer giving tips. In the current campaign that we're in, there's a place called the Woods Between Worlds. And it's a place where you can't have any fighting. You can't really have like even hostile thoughts. And it's a place to transport between locations. And there's a reason why I put it in the game, but we haven't gotten to there yet. My players locked a character in that space. They locked an evil character in that space, and so that person can't fight anymore. And they also took away their ability to escape. And that was kind of an interesting, or it was kind of an important NPC to me, this wizard, Mariel. And she, you know, she's like a wizard in one of the towers, and my players just abandoned her in this Woods Between Worlds. And so every time they on occasion, they'll go back there and like just taunt her. And I'm like, you know, it's such a sad end to an interesting NPC, right? So don't get like, and that's the thing, I had to kind of go, I am not going to get hung up on Mariel, because Mariel is now the character. She's the poor sad mage that got trapped in the Woods Between Worlds. And it's my player's story, right? So let the situations play out and don't fudge. You know, when I first started, I fudged all the time. I rolled my dice behind a screen, and I would lie about what I got, you know, generally for my players' benefit. Like, I don't think I ever like rolled and went like, I got a 20, you know, but I would roll and be like, whoa, a 20, and like, I missed, you know. And so at some point I realized, if my players find out that I'm doing this, even beyond that, I know they're not playing a real game right now. Like, I know essentially I'm tricking them into playing like make-believe. And I had, like, once I stopped doing that, I just took the screen away. I don't even think I use the screen anymore. I just roll and I'm like, I just let them see it, you know, and I'm like, yep, you're dead. Sorry, you know. Right. So don't fudge. I appreciate that. Oh, okay, yeah, but we got a bunch of people in here now. Thank you. Let me catch back up. Thank you so much for congratulating me on the first stream. Yeah, I don't know if this video is helpful to anyone anymore, so I might try and make a more concise version of it, because if I look at my stream time over here, I'm probably at like, I don't know what I'm at. Oh, I'm at like 40 minutes. Okay, so I wanted this video to be helpful for new DMs, but this is now like a 40-minute stream. I probably should have just taken and cut up on the computer. And now I'm worried that it's not quite laziness, but now I'm worried that this thing is not helpful to people. So, not in a position to sit and watch right now. I just wanted to say, drop on a high. So thank you so much, Monkey, for coming by. Biggest thing for me has been, okay, prep what you get, okay. Prep what you're bad at. That's interesting. Yeah, and you know, I think memorization is one of the things I'm bad at. And so the way I prep it is like making little cards and stuff. You spend a lot of time prepping stuff. Couldn't make it up in game. Now you only prep the things you're better. I think that's a really good tip. Updated reply for GM goals. Okay. Roll out in the open. Yeah, no, I think that's. Yeah, I think the rolling out in the open, if nothing else, it allows your players to know that they have agency. Like, they got themselves into a situation where now dice have to be rolled against them, and just that effect in itself, like whoa, you know what? And as well, like, there's some excitement to, when that dice hits the table, like, my players are watching it. Like, if not all of them, because, you know, like, my son's mom, my ex-wife, she's generally coloring, and it's like, all right, she's gonna color, that's fine. But everyone else is like, what's happening? So the dice hitting the table is an interesting focus. Game without risk is game without reward. I agree. I appreciate you saying that I'm being inspiring. Again, I'm nervous here streaming, so thank you so much. I appreciate everyone showing up here. I am going to cut this short now because I want this to be a video that people can actually get help from, and I might actually end up cutting this up. Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Test. I appreciate it. If you like this and you want me to stream again, I was really only planning on doing this for other videos like this. For example, I was going to make a video asking for comments or asking for information about what's your worst Dungeon Master mistake, like, or your biggest. What's your biggest mistake? And you know, I obviously have like a few of my own, but I'd be interested to compile a list of biggest mistakes. And I was thinking, with any of those videos where I go, hey, what's your something, I would just make a live stream, and maybe I'll try and be a little more focused about it. But yeah, all right. Anyways, I'll cut it from there and stop rambling. God bless you. Have a great night. Thank you so much for coming and joining me in the chat. I hope these tips are helpful for you if you are someone who has watched this video and If it's too long, I'll cut it down. Sorry. All right. God bless you.